Hi everyone, I'm Paola of Paola at Ponce Nails here in Los Angeles, California. I'm a licensed manicurist and also a certified Japanese gel nail instructor. Today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to abstract block. Now the term abstract blocking refers to the blocking of certain patterns on the nail and applying transfer foils onto the areas that the blocking is not occurring at. Okay, let's get started with this lesson. First, you're going to need to have blocking material. This can consist of striping tape or any other pattern of stickers or decals that you may have that you might want to creatively use to block out areas of the nail. You'll also need transfer foils, and if you're not familiar with transfer foils, or you are but are not too confident or used to using them, then please refer to our previous videos that master all about transfer foils. So let's get started with our technique. Here is a beautiful pattern of two contrasting blues, a deeper blue like a royal blue, which is provided by our transfer foil, and a sort of aqua transparent blue here. I'm going to show you how to make this nail from scratch. So if this was a real client, you will apply your base and 2 coats of color. In this case, I've already done that. And the next step is to apply a layer of base coat. Here I'm going to take my base coat and apply a relatively thin amount of product on one side of my brush, as so, and apply it sparingly all over the nail. I'm going to cure this for about 30 seconds in my LED light. And again, if you want to refer to our previous video on transfer foils and see what the adequate time is for curing and successfully transferring a good amount of foil onto the nail, then again, you might want to use our previous video to reference that information. In this case, I'm going to cure this particular base for 30 seconds. Sometimes you'll need to cure fully to a 30-second cure, and then other times you might just be okay with a 10 to 20-second cure. So do test your product and check out our video. Once that is ready, you're going to take that and you're going to use your desired blocking media. In this case, I'm going to use a striping tape, and I'm going to block out patterns or areas of the nail here that I want to block out so that I don't transfer any of the foil. Now, bear with me as this does get a little tricky with your striping tape, as I'm sure you've experienced this many a time. Alright, so here we go. I like to create crisscross patterns. And yes, there's still some residue or tackiness to this gel. It's totally okay because we're just using that tackiness for the foil, not necessarily for it to adhere a tape. And we're gonna do this sort of ballerina shoe pattern here. You can do any pattern you want. You can do linear, you can do triangular, or you can just completely not have a pattern, freestyle. All right, so now you don't want to handle your foil too much, especially at the back area. And if you want to successfully transfer big amounts of foil onto this nail, then you want to make sure that you press on with a lot of surface area touching the foil. So in this case, I'm using my thumb to press the foil onto the nail, and since I'm covering bigger patches of the nail, I'm using my thumb. You can use your index finger if you like, but I find I get more control using my thumb. So that's my preferred method. Try it out, see what works for you. And once you press down once, you want to quickly remove. And do keep in mind that some foils transfer better than others. Some base coats transfer better than others. In this case, I'm having to use firm pressure and hold it in order to get more foil to transfer. Transfer foils is just a matter of trial and error and figuring out what base coats work best for you, what cure times are the best to cure under, and what sort of pressure is there to use. So now you see my pattern here. It's abstract, hence the term abstract blocking that we're using. Once you're content with the amount of foil that you've placed onto the open areas that are not blocked, then feel free to remove your tape with a pair of tweezers to reveal the patterns that you've created with the blocking technique. In this case, it's a very simple pattern. Kind of got like a Z going on here, but I mean, use your imagination, use any type of decals. You wanted to do heart shapes, bow shapes, you can go ahead and place those onto the sticky layer of the nail. Don't cure, and then just go ahead and press your foil onto the exposed areas and remove the decals or the striping tape, whatever medium you use to block out certain areas on the nail. Remove those and then cure for a short time. This is relatively thin foil and it has already adhered to the tacky layer. So I'm just gonna do a short cure of 10 seconds. You can definitely do a 5-second cure also. This step is not necessarily very important as the foil has already stuck onto the tacky layer. Once you're done with that, I always recommend to encase it or seal it with another coat before you do your top coat. Now, because this isn't a matter of items like our glass, paper, nails, video, for example, where we have medium sticking off of the nail, I'm just going to use a base coat to thinly seal my design before I apply my top coat. Now, most of the times when you use just a base coat straight out, you don't necessarily need to retouch it with a buffer or a file. However, if you do use a sculpting gel, whether it's semi-hard or hard gel, I do recommend using a buffer and a file to retouch any imperfections in your application and then go over it with top coat. But again, because this has already laid down smoothly, I don't have to worry about anything sticking up. Just a thin layer of base coat and a layer of top coat and you're set to go. So I'm going to do that now. Give that a full cure of 30 seconds. Before I seal with my top coat. Now, again, use your imagination, create patterns, use decals, use stickers, whatever you have to create really cool blocking patterns and press on foils. Some foils transfer better than others too, so feel free to work with the foils that transfer the most product onto your nail. Once that's said and done, I'm going to use a non-wipe top coat. Now, when I'm working with various gels within one nail art, I do like to stay with 1 to 2 max gel product line. So right now, as you can see, I've only used my leaf gel, and then I've used a soak off sealer from a different brand here. So try not to mix too many brands, and do try to stick with soak off systems if there are soak off. Everything that I'm using here is soak off, and hard gel if you're sticking with hard gel, and you can do acrylic also. I mean, just try not to mix too many products. Know what systems you're working with and try to stick with those systems. Again, I'm using soak off, so everything here is kind of okay to use interchangeably. My base coat has come out. Again, there's nothing to really retouch on this nail. Everything's inlaid nice and smooth. So I'm just gonna go over this with top coat and give it a full cure. Because this is an artificial nail, I can kind of go backwards on it, but obviously if this is the client that you're working on and you want to just go one way, give that a full cure of 30 seconds. I would say top coats always cure for at least 40 seconds. Preferably, I like to give it a 60-second cure. Also helps me keep my client kind of tied down into the lamp if I give her a 60-second cure versus a 30-second cure, because then she will not be touching that last final coat and potentially leave like a fingerprint or anything on there. So again, at least 30 seconds, which is your maximum LED cure for a full cure. But top coats, I like to go at 40 seconds at least, or 60 seconds, okay? Well, that was our lesson on abstract blocking. Very easy. Base coat, 2 coats of color. Then you're going to use your base coat again. You are going to cure that. Place your blocking media, striping tape, or decals, whichever you choose. Don't cure. Apply your transfer foils to the exposed areas that you haven't blocked. When you're happy transferring foils onto those exposed areas, you will then do a short cure for about 5 to 10 seconds. You will remove the nail, apply a base coat, thin layer base coat, and then finish off with a top coat or sealer. And there you have it, folks. Abstract blocking. If you like our lesson, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about this lesson or would like to suggest for our next or future lessons, leave a comment. And as always, please don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on our next video.